I want to take a few minutes and talk about the student trip to Belize for 2016. Looking at it, the approximate dates are going to be around June 5th through 13th. Some of that's going to change some as we try to find, the best ticket prices flying into Belize City and maybe some other issues that may pop up. But somewhere around that time will be when we go. This is the fourth trip to Belize for students that I've led. I've also, just as kind of an aside, it's a place where I go quite often, do some work down there in regard to doing principal workshops and teacher workshops. And as I oftentimes say, if you know the principals and teachers in an area, you know just about everybody. A couple of things when you talk about it is that Belize, the official language is English, and so if you speak English, you will have an easy time getting around. Uh, on the screen is the group from last year. I had 7 individuals go, and they are surrounding Miss Loma, who is the principal in Barranco, which will be one of the first places that we visit. Now, before we go to Barranco, we're going to go out to the Snake Keys and go snorkeling. And although this is the first year we found little boa constrictor on Snake Keys, one of the guides went out into the woods and found it. But Snake Keys offers very clear water. Should be able to see a lot of different fish and starfish and various things out there, and always an enjoyable time. You can see that Lindsay in this picture has a long sleeve shirt on, and so as we start talking about things at different points, is that the sun is very brutal in this part of Belize. We're close to the equator, and therefore it is a good idea to stay fairly covered up during these times, because otherwise you're going to get burned and it's going to be miserable for the rest of the trip. When we look at going to Barranco, and here's a couple of young men there, Miss Loma always puts on a show for us. Every time I've been, she's brought out, they've done drums, they've shown some traditional dances, given us a tour of this little town that's real close to the Guatemalan border, and kind of shown us what's going on in their school. So it's always a very enjoyable time. And we also will go to other schools. And so on one end of the trip, we have the Snake Keys and snorkeling, and we start going through and visiting schools at different points. Which ones at this point we don't exactly know, but we're going to go through and see several places and spend a decent amount of time in a lot of those places when we go through and visit. In fact, this coming year, it is my intention to make sure that we have a time where individuals can spend a full day working with teachers and staying with teachers and kind of getting to know things at a deeper level. So we'll have a couple of days where we'll go out and we'll kind of see a lot of different stuff, but one day that you're going to get to spend a little more time working and teaching within that particular school. And here you have one of the students from last year, Brandy Swinney, who is teaching a class in Corazon Creek. And at the very end, probably one of the places we'll go is also Halacte. They have the little swinging bridge here. It's a very interesting place to go, very isolated place, but an area that has a preschool that we can see and enjoy as well. Toward the end of the trip, we want to make sure that we do something else active again. Last year, we went on zip lines off in the middle of the rainforest. Very enjoyable time. And then after that, we went off and did a little bit of a cave swim, and we'll try to do that again if it allows. This year, I want to do something a little bit different. Is that toward the last day, we're going to take a bus to Placencia instead of just a day, where you can spend some time on the beaches of Placencia, and you can walk along the sidewalks, and they have a lot of stores there. It's a little more touristy area than the Toledo district where we'll be to start with. And so then from Placencia, we'll fly out to Belize City and head back to the States for that. And so we're looking at probably around 8 days that we will spend in Belize. So what are the trip specifics? First of all, if you don't have a passport, you need to make sure you get one. If you wait till the last minute, it's not too bad. It usually takes probably about 3 weeks for them to process everything and get in place. But before I can order the international tickets, I need to know everything about your passport. And so I'll even ask for a copy of the page there that has your passport number, your name exactly as it is, and all that kind of stuff that we'll keep on hand, and that'll help us get the tickets when we fly out there. I also talk a lot of times about the art of travel, and what I simply mean by that is that when you travel, you cannot expect everything to be the way it is when you're at the house. The art of travel means that you're all in when you're there, and things are not always going to be just exactly the way you want it. And I'll tell you, when you travel with me, we don't have canned adventures, and so I have a couple of daughters. When I tell my daughters that when we go on vacation, if things aren't a little bit tough every now and then, I'm not doing it right. And this is not a trip for everybody. It's very hot. There's a lot of walking. But I think that everyone that's ever gone through there has felt like it has been an important part of their list of experiences they have in their life. And so we want that to be. We want it to be as close to life changing as an 8-day trip can be. And I think being able to see the geography and the culture and the educational processes of Belize helps do that. Now, the cost we have covers everything but food and souvenirs. And so it's going to be a total of around $1,600. So I'll get the hotels, I'll get your airfares, the travel when you're down there, the 2 trips that we do. Everything is taken care of within that area. And what we ask for a deposit of $300 due around December 11th, second payment of $700 due around January 15th, and the final payment of $600 due around March 11th. I will still, even though the December 11th, if you get it in place, that assures you an area right there. But if we don't have as many as what I think I can carry, which is usually around 5 to 8 or 9 is about as much as I take, is that I'll make it available to people in January as well when the new group of students comes through. And so that could happen. But if you want to make sure you're part of that first group, then that first deposit is important for you. I also want to make sure you're aware of there's about $100 in other fees. There is a $50 to the Office of International Programs for some fee to help in the processing of everything they have to do. And then there's, I think it's probably going to be about $40 in insurance costs that the university system requires just to help cover you when you're abroad. So that being said, is that shortly you should get some more information about when I'm having various meetings to talk to and answer any questions anybody has. And I'll have it both live here, and then if anybody needs to talk to me through Skype or Zoom or some other video conference, we can do that as well to provide you whatever information that you need to help you determine whether this is a trip that you want to be a part of.